Hey everyone, how's it going? PCM here. Welcome back to Murder Most Unfortunate.
I found the rest of the ladies. Now, Klops, what is this all about?
The murder has just been committed. One of us is the killer.
Is that a body? Here! Oh, positively horrid!
Ah! Everyone, shield your eyes! This is not a sight for fair sensibilities.
The other guests stood in the doorway opposite myself and Klops. My eyes fell on our oh-so-sensitive ingenue, Cherise. If ever there was a time to faint for real, this was it. But she didn't. She just stared into the room, her eyes wide, glassy, and unblinking.
Somebody needs to call the police!
Yes, ma'am. Right away.
It'll take them a while. We're ways out of the city.
We shouldn't touch anything. Let's all go back to the dining room and wait for the police to arrive.
No,
What?
we can't just sit and wait. We need to investigate. We need to see the truth with our own eyes. I'm with you on that, Sherry.
Well, if our precocious little darlings are going to be poking about, I'm certainly not going to be left out.
Sounds good to me.
If you insist, then.
My dears, please do be very careful.
We won't disturb anything, Comtessa. I promise.
That is not what I meant. It could be that whoever did this has not gone far.
Oh. Surely it was just some villain who has since fled the scene.
I'll keep an eye out, sir. Just nobody wander far, you understand?
Perhaps it would have been more comforting to believe the culprit was some stranger, a shadow in the night that was now long gone. But it just wouldn't have fit the evening's theme, now would it? I had a hunch that there was something more afoot in the old manor that night, and I certainly wasn't going to trust anyone else to properly figure it out.
Oh, the timer. Okay, it's hour and 12 minutes. Okay, I guess that's an hour and 12 minutes. Alright. So do I have to solve the mystery before this timer runs out?
No, what a tragedy. What a cruel twist of fate. And to think, tonight was meant to be an evening of joy and making merry.
I'm not exactly sure that joy is the word I'd pick for an evening in this house. But I'll admit, I was never expecting anything like this.
It was such a monstrous sight. Do you think Miss Leah and Miss Cherise will be all right?
All right. They looked healthy enough to me.
No, I mean, do you think they'll be distraught? You, if you don't mind me saying, are a woman of the world, Misfortune. But they are so young, so pure, like a newly bloomed flower that has only seen sunlight, never knowing that there is also night and all the horrors that it hides.
A rose, by any other name, can still prick you quite nastily if you don't know what you're doing.
I beg your pardon?
Never mind, my dear Horatio.
Not the prince. Where were you? The announcement. Ew, where were you?
Where were you when this absolutely dreadful business happened?
I imagine I must have still been in the basement, or very close to it. I'd only just got the lights back on, and I was coming up the stairwell when Klops found me.
Good point.
Was he the one to discover the body then?
I believe so. he asked me to help find all the guests, which leads me to cleverly deduce that I was the first one he encountered after the gruesome discovery.
Aha.
Clever indeed. Nothing gets past you, does it, dear?
Ahem. Well, I wouldn't go that far. But where were you, Misfortune?
Ooh.
I was in the king bedroom.
Yeah.
Alone?
Aha.
As it happens, yes. I've always been the sort to need a little bit of me time every so often, you know.
Sounds a little suspicious.
But you could have been in danger.
Oh, horrors, you're right. If only I was clairvoyant, I might even have been worried at the time, too.
Well, never fear. You're safe with me now.
Yeah, he's got his trusty hat.
Yes, I'm sure I am.
Okay, about the prince.
Horatio, how long had you known our dear departed host?
I have, well, had been his closest friend and confidant for many years.
Oh, yes, the grand magus of his court, didn't you say?
I did, but alas, though I can conjure a parlor trick or two, I could do little to foresee this unseemly doom.
Indeed, unseemly, just the word I would have used. Presumably you would know then if the prince had any enemies.
A man like the prince always does, but none of them are here.
I would say the evidence suggests the contrary.
Surely you don't mean to suggest that it was one of us. After all, didn't you say that all your husbands just died from bad luck? Perhaps it was that.
Yes, quite. Bad luck.
Black Widow. Okay, announcement.
Prince Titanico mentioned an announcement that he wished to make this evening. Do you know what that was all about?
Yes, or at least I think so.
You mean you're not sure?
You must understand, the prince was a man with a flair for the dramatic. He rather liked his secrets, and hence his surprises.
That I don't doubt. In fact, I wouldn't put it past him to have staged his own death, just to leave us all in suspense.
No way.
My dear friend did have rather unusual tastes, but I fear in this case it was not part of the plan.
I see. So, are you going to tell me then?
About what?
About the announcement, of course.
No, I think not.
Ooh, why not?
Oh?
As I said, he liked his secrets. Telling you now, it just wouldn't be what he'd want.
Well, if you do so insist on being obstinate, I suppose I will have to make do on my own.
Wow, he's making enemies amongst the rest of the living.
A true magician never reveals his secrets, Misfortune, nor those of his friends.
I do believe it's about time I took a bit of a stroll.
Do be careful, Misfortune, and please, if you have need of my talents.
Worry not, my dear. If the lights happen to go out again, I'll know just who to call.
Oh, that didn't go too well. Next our inventory. Okay. Oh. Where should I go? Oh, man, I got a king bedroom. Alright, ooh. Breaker room?
This should be the breaker room, but... Oh! Try it all! I really don't feel like groping around in the dark and bumping into dangerous old electrical equipment.
Alright, what's in here? What's that?
Goodness, the evening must be wearing on me more than I thought. Even my purse seems heavy.
Okay.
A knife? In my bag? It's even flecked with blood.
What the hell? Knife at its image. Okay.
And what's this? A ring? It looks decidedly pricey, but it's not one of mine.
Damn.
How did it get here?
So many questions. Diamond ring. Damn. Diamond ring and a bloody knife.
For just a moment, I was confused. But then the gruesome sight of Titanico's body flooded my thoughts, and the truth hit me. I was being set up. Almost certainly, what I held in my hands was the knife that had stabbed the prince.
And it got put in her purse.
I don't know how it got in my purse, but whoever put it there had made a mistake. Because if there's one thing I know for sure, it's that anyone who tries to frame me for murder is going to regret it. This should be the break room, but... Ow! Drat it all!
Okay,
I really don't feel like groping around in the dark and bumping into dangerous old
Okay,
electrical
so-
equipment.
okay, so can I go somewhere else? Let me see, okay, so I need to... So can I leave? How do I leave here? Let me see,
I should probably come back after I find a flashlight or a
oh,
candle.
okay. There you go. Good idea. Any important piece of information, we're supposed to go back and talk to characters you previously talked to. Okay. Let's go back. Main hall? Let's go main hall.
As best I knew, our mysterious murder had happened here, in the hall. At the very least, I thought the body warranted a closer look. Luckily for me, I was no stranger to corpses. Funerals for 9 different husbands will do that, you know.
13, 14,
What's she
15.
doing?
It seems I'm not alone here. But what is the poor girl doing? She's just pacing back and forth and muttering to herself. Have the evening's events already broken her fragile little mind?
Let's examine the room. First. Oh.
I decided it was time to take a closer look at the body. Corpses are always a bit distasteful, to be sure, but I'd seen enough rich old lords killed in unfortunate hunting accidents that I was rather used to it.
Okay.
The prince's most obvious injury was the wound on his back. Judging from the way the clothes had been pierced, it had almost certainly been made by a knife. The wound itself was deep and vicious, clearly the work of no ordinary butter knife. The blood had soaked through the back of the prince's evening wear, but given the nastiness of the wound itself, there wasn't as much of it as I might have expected. There was something odd about the prince's right hand. I knelt down to get as close a look as I could without touching it. The palm and inside of the fingers had been burnt and blackened.
Damn.
I checked the left hand as well, just to be sure, but it seemed undamaged. The prince was face down on the floor, and there was an odd angle to his right leg. So odd, in fact, that I'd wager a platinum necklace or two that it was broken in at least one spot. Could simply collapsing on the spot from a stab wound cause a break like that? I seriously doubt it.
I think it was pushed off the landing or something. Good? Anything else? Oh. Anything over here? Okay, I think I'm going to stop examining then. There's nothing else here. That is hand.
Was it only coincidence that the trail of candles in the center of the main hall seemed to lead straight to the body of the prince? Or
Oh.
had our mysterious killer intentionally used them to frame their handiwork out of some sense of macabre artistry? Well, tragic as it might be to despoil a work of art, it occurred to me that a candle might come in handy for searching the dark old house. Since with all the commotion of finding the body, I must have misplaced the one I had earlier.
Aha, we can take it back down to the breaker room. So should I look anything else to look at? Stairs, candle, no, I looked at candles. Okay, let's go back to the breaker room. Oh, landing. Ooh,
I suppose I could dial a number here,
oh,
if I knew of one worth calling.
cancel. I don't know if anything else to look at. Phone?
The phone itself was heavy, made of metal, and certainly quite old-fashioned. Normally, that's the sort of style I prefer, but right now, a call history of some kind would have come in rather handy. But why is the receiver dangling like that? Did this table get bumped at some point?
Ah, interesting. Okay. Anything else? Dr. Cerise?
My dear little Miss Cherise, what in the world are you doing?
I'm counting.
So good to see they still teach that in grade school these days. How marvelous.
I think the timing seems off. I need to check again.
On second thought, maybe they don't teach it so well after all.
What was she counting for? Yeah, it's the timing.
I almost think I'll regret asking. But darling, what timing is off?
It's Mr. Klops, the butler.
Valet.
Oh, yes, of course.
Well, what about him then?
I saw him go into this room when the lights were out.
I see. Is that when he found the body, do you think?
I think so. He came running out looking for Mr. Horatio. I don't think he saw me.
Oh, well, you can't blame the poor man for that. He only sees half as much as the rest of us. But just what does that have to do with all your pacing and counting?
I think he was in here too long.
I beg your pardon. Too long?
I've been timing how long it takes to walk from the door to the body. It doesn't add up. I'm sure he was in here longer. Maybe an extra 20 seconds.
Well, aren't you a delightfully clever little girl? Maybe you should have been a detective rather than a fabulously wealthy industrial heiress.
Oh, it's nothing, really. It's just... well, it's not my first time being around a murder case. That's all. I guess that helps a little.
Okay, another murder.
I'm sorry, my dear, but did you say this isn't your first murder?
Yes. No. It wasn't my murder. But I was there when it happened.
My. I never would have imagined. It must make for an absolutely thrilling story, I'm sure.
Please, you must forgive me, but I really don't want to talk about it.
Of course. How rude of me to pry. I'm sure the experience must have been just ghastly for you. But, oh my, you don't suppose it could have something to do with our current predicament, do you?
No, I don't think so. It was a long way away, and the killer was stopped. And besides, except for Leah and I, nobody here was involved.
Well, that's a relief. It would be just awful if there was a serial killer following you around, or something like that. It must just be coincidence, then, that people keep dropping dead wherever you go.
That's mean to say, jeez.
I suppose that it must be.
Okay.
In any case, it's a good thing I found you, my dear. I had a feeling you just might be in need of my expertise.
Your expertise?
Oh, yes, dear. I've buried 9 husbands after all. I've got this morning business down pat, if I do say so myself.
Forgive me, I didn't know. I'm so sorry to hear it. That's just so much bad luck for one lifetime.
One gets used to it. And it's not all bad news. My last husband, the Duke, left me this marvelous country estate that is absolutely to die for. But, silly me, here I am going on and on about myself. You must be so terribly distraught about all of this.
The prince and I, well, we hadn't been seeing each other for very long. But still, it's such a horrible crime. That's why I can't rest until I know the truth behind it.
He did seem rather smitten with you, I must say.
Well, he just liked to exaggerate, I'm sure. He had rather his own unique way with words.
Unique is one way to put it. You don't suppose that, in his grandiose infatuation, he wrote you into his will, did he?
Oh, I can't imagine that he would have. He never said so anyway.
Pity. That's usually the first thing I ask for. Ah, well, live and learn, my dear.
One more. Okay, let's go back. Leave? Yeah, okay. Let's go back down here, breaker room. I got a candle now.
Thanks to my candle here, I should be able to find the light switch. Ah, there. With only a little effort, I found my way down to the basement of the old house. Although our little adventure with the lighting had seemed natural enough at the time, given the condition of the house, the prince's murder had colored all of the evening's happenings with a more sinister shading. Perhaps examining the house's electrical panel for myself would shed some light on the mystery. That must be the breaker panel. Let's take a closer look, shall we? I don't know much about this sort of thing, but it looks to me that all the switches are on, except for one. Well, fun as it would be to make the little girl faint again, I probably shouldn't touch them for now.
Looks like that one's been cut, but... Okay, alright. Oh,
Hello, what have we here? It's an electrical timer. I once used one of these in the school breaker room to shut off the lights during my high school exams.
ah.
You can use it to flip a breaker switch at a predetermined time. The question is, just what is it doing here? I'm starting to think our little blackout earlier might have been no accident after all.
It was no accident. Okay, that's timer. The
The
wiring?
wiring is old, but it looks to me like it should all work. It's a bit of a mess, though. Hard to tell just what goes where.
Okay. What else can we examine? Anything else? Nope. Okay. Let's go dining hall. The heck?
At first, I was inclined to laugh at the giant, oddly proportioned statue that was the dining room's centerpiece. But as I drew closer, I couldn't help but feel a bit intimidated by the way it loomed over me. Then again, I could say the exact same things about that gruesome one-eyed manservant Klops. Who'd have ever thought he would have so much in common with a work of art?
Looks like Slenderman. Slenderman. Okay, anything else? Oh,
The family crest of the Lees still adorns some of the flags and banners that hung from the walls in the dining room. suppose it wasn't a bad crest, really. A little overly dramatic with all the spikiness, perhaps. But then, they weren't exactly a family that had cultivated a particularly cuddly image.
Anything over here? This table?
Long, narrow tables stretched down either side of the room for what seemed like forever. At one end were the remnants of our refreshments from earlier, but I think I'll leave them alone for now. I mean, it didn't look like poison had anything to do with the prince's death, but one can never be too careful.
Okay, let's talk to him. Oh, the lighting magic? What?
Horatio, my dear, I'm so sorry, but I'm afraid you've got some explaining to do.
Now, Misfortune, I already told you, a magician.
Yes, never reveals his secrets and all that. Why don't we just skip to the part where you tell me what this is all about? Yes.
Maybe this timer.
Where did you find that?
In the breaker room, darling. Right where you left it.
Oh.
Oh.
Here's the part where you start talking then.
Well, you're right. I put it there. It was Titanico's idea. He thought the whole blackout business would add some drama to the evening.
It added drama, alright.
An excuse to startle us. Especially poor little Miss Cherise. So there was nothing wrong with the wiring then?
Nothing at all. That's why he had to make sure to send me to deal with it.
So, you were the only other one who knew about this little special effect then?
Yes, I do believe so. I did say that the prince often took me into his confidence, didn't I?
Yes, several times, I think.
Well, you won't tell anyone else, will you? As you can see, it had nothing to do with the murder.
It does seem that way, I suppose. At least, for now.
Okay, let's go back. Alright, let's leave. Okay, I'm gonna end it here, see if I can save the game. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna save it and we'll resume from here during the next episode. So yeah, pretty interesting so far. Thank you all for watching. Hope you're enjoying it so far. And have a nice rest of your evening. I'll see you soon for the next video. Bye now.